Welcome to another Polyphony Digital or PD Logic, where PD does things that just PD makes sense. They just plain don't make sense, folks. And today, screw it, we're doing it live because this has been around since the game's release, even before the game's release. This was around even from the closed beta. Gran Turismo Sport is online only, and everyone knows this at this point. But this is going to be a relatively more in-depth PD logic of certain things instead of a variety of things like some of the older ones. This is going to be more in the form of newer rant videos, even though it is called a PD logic. But the reason I called this a PD logic is because it kind of ties into some of the old things. So let's begin. And again, this is live, so this is obvious proof of it happening now. To begin with, the age-old thing of this game is online only, and guess what's happening right now, folks? PlayStation Network is undergoing maintenance, so let's, while live, see what happens when PlayStation Network, not Gran Turismo, not PD, not necessarily Sony, but PlayStation Network. I know PlayStation Network is involved with Sony, but I think y'all get what I mean. It's not something directly involved with Gran Turismo. It's undergoing maintenance. Y'all have already read that because that comes up on everybody's screen, but let's see what's available and what's not available while trying to do all this. Let's look at all this, folks. There's my library that I can't go to. You know, I was actually going to record videos, like, for y'all to see in the future and not have to do a live stream, so that way y'all actually get content that's actually thought up and like made to be as good as I can make it and not just at the spur of the moment. But no, I can't do that because it's not even Gran Turismo related. It's PlayStation related. I can't even record videos. That's not the only problem with the online only thing. You can't do daily races, which are now weekly races. Now, granted, that makes sense because those are online races. But you know what doesn't make sense about the daily and weekly races? The penalty system, which has been discussed in other videos as well. But here's the new thing with the penalty system now. I'm not even attempting the races because one, I can't because the previous thing I mentioned before. And two, apparently now even though it seems like the penalty system is better in not giving time penalties, it's worse than it's ever been before in terms of disqualifying people from races. Apparently, last week there was the Blue Moon Group 3 race at the Speedway, not the road course. That's a traditional race that has been in the game also since the closed beta, as well as the online only thing and the iffy penalty thing. That race has existed for that long as well. But this is the first time this race has ever featured mass people getting disconnected from the race. Not before the race starts, not right as the race is starting, because that's happened a lot of times before. This is the first time ever that people have been disconnected in mass numbers while during the race. And you know why people get disconnected during the race? No, it's not for being dirty. No, it's not for cutting the track. It's for bump drafting on an oval. You know what happens when you bump draft on an oval in real life? Good things. You go faster. It helps both cars involved. If it's a big pack bump drafting, what would happen in a restrictor plate race in NASCAR? Then it kind of helps everyone in that pack. It's beneficiary to everyone. But no, PD penalizes this because PD logic. I literally cannot think of any logical reason that they would penalize this. I really don't think I'm the only one who thinks this, folks. I really don't think I am. But guess what? I can't actually sell this to you because, one, I don't want to kill my SR rating even on my alternate account because it would basically be an immediate disconnection for me because, well, I know strategies of oval racing. I know how to bump draft. And there's the obvious fact, too, of guess what? I can't even if I wanted to. And yes, I know this race ain't there anymore. The weekly races have switched now. But now on to this week's of races. Now they're at Tokyo Expressway East Loop. I don't like that one as much as Central Loop, but you know something that both of those have in common? If you just barely tap a wall, which again loses you speed, it's a 5-second time penalty. Remember how I said before this new penalty system is more penalizing in terms of disqualifying people than actual time penalties? Well, I have a hunch that this week's races is gonna have both time penalties and people getting disqualified. But again, I can't test that theory because PlayStation Network is undergoing maintenance, not Gran Turismo. PlayStation Network is undergoing maintenance. Like, look, I can attempt to reconnect. Let's see what happens. I mean, again, this is live. I don't actually know what happened. But we'll find out live. Hallelujah, now it actually did it connect. I wasn't really expecting that one, folks. But now, let's do something completely different because this is yet another logic video. Let's go to the actual races now. And let's see what happens there. As you all can see, there's Monza, Bathurst, and the one I've already mentioned, Tokyo East Loop. Oh wait, there's a problem. Monza, quite literally, is the highest amount of SR loss in all of the tracks in the game. Literally. You can go to different sites. There's Kudos Prime. There's the other ones I've linked before. I think even if it's Gran Turismo site has stuff like that now. Where you can look at the total amount of sportsmanship rating lost per race on average. And Monza has the most out of any track. So that means I really don't think I want to do this race. Because I'd be losing a whole heck of a heap of SR and most likely also get disqualified. I've already mentioned this race too. If I were to do this race, there'd still be a decent chance of getting disqualified. And there would be the stupid time penalties that shouldn't happen. So then, this leaves Bathurst left. And you know, Bathurst has a tight section that's like down the hill. And then there's also big straights. You know what happens when there's big straights that then leads to tight section? A whole heck of a heap of braking, which means a whole heck of a heap of chance for mistakes. You know what track that sounds like? Yeah, I mean, even look at the shape of the tracks for Jiminy Cricket sakes. Long straights and then narrow sections. Long straights and then narrow sections. You either kill your SR by doing the first races, or get a time penalty by doing the last race. All of which, more times than not, are not the people's actual fault. And I'm not even over-exaggerating when I say that, because you know what happens when people actually race clean nowadays? The same thing as when people race dirty nowadays. Ever since the beginning of the game, I've been saying this. Polyphony Digital seems to be catering to the dirty drivers with this game. Not in terms of online lobbies, because nowadays you can't even hit a car anymore, really, because the ghost feature doesn't change. And, well, this is how. And now it's even more exaggerated because of the new penalty system. It's always been that way. I've done videos on that in the past, but now this is an even new problem that the game has. And to finish off, I kind of sort of mentioned it a minute ago, is now there's the online lobby stuff going wrong. This has been in many other people's videos doing live streams, doing online lobbies, because, well, the daily races are weekly races, so those aren't really worth doing every day now. And FI races are, the season's over. I mean, that's not necessarily a negative, it's just a fact. The negative is the daily races or weekly races. But this is also a fact. More people are attempting to do open lobbies now in terms of live streams or just showing races from open lobbies or whatever. And you know what has to be done now with open lobbies? A standing start. You can't do rolling start anymore in open lobbies. You know, you could do a rolling start in, I think there was even a patch in GT5 that made that a thing that could happen. Yeah, let's see what all kinds of, like, lobbies and stuff are in, like, the actual open lobby bit. this. And let's go from there. Oh, wait! I was actually going to show proof of the open lobbies having the standing starts be the only thing available to do anymore. Long shorts don't work in them anymore, but guess what? I also still can't sell that. Because even though I have about the fastest internet even possible in the state of Kentucky, also not an over-exaggeration, you can actually look that up. I'm pretty sure University of Kentucky has the fastest internet in all of Kentucky. It definitely does for colleges, and I haven't seen anything that ain't a college with faster internet than this. But guess what? Because it's Type 3, you can't actually even use it. I don't know whose fault that is, but that's just still factoid of information right yonder. But then yet, even with Type 3 internet, I can still connect, mostly, weekly races. Again, I would show that if I could, but, well, there's nothing worth doing. But instead, I go to the open lobby, and there's definitely nothing worth doing. There's a whopping 3 total in all of the Americans region. There's 3 total that NAT Type 3 can enter. That's quite terrible. So that's pretty much all the things to discuss here. Open lobby is almost useless now, no matter what type of internet you have, and it pretty much is completely with the this one, Type 3, and daily races being weekly races now. If you just have a week in which they're all terrible, there's nothing left to do. And the FI season is over. Yeah, we have the preliminary ones that are just like off season and don't count for anything. But with the penalty system being so terrible right now, there's still not even that much of a point in doing them. So, what have we learned today? I don't care anymore. And that's not what we've learned. I don't care anymore. It's just I don't really care what we learned because it doesn't seem like PDs. I don't know if it's that they haven't learned or if they just cannot physically fix some of this stuff. They've tweaked the penalty system a whole heck of a heap. They've tweaked the time penalty system too. They've tweaked online lobbies. They've tried a whole heck of a heap of stuff. But it seems like still it's just gradually getting worse, and then some of the stuff like this, they haven't even mentioned at all. I don't know if they can physically fix stuff like this because they haven't attempted it. But it's looking like they cannot physically fix stuff like the penalty system. They've attempted that many times and it still ain't right. This has never been right. What's worse between something that doesn't seem to be able to be fixed at all because they've given many attempts to it, or something that's never even been addressed that's still not fixed? I don't know, but nonetheless it's kind of all there now. To sum it up, the daily races being weekly races hurts a lot. If they cannot be done because of the stupid penalty system, that makes it pointless to even attempt them. And then when you go to open lobby, do not worry about the penalty system. There's even new glitches there in terms of the standing start thing, and old glitches if you have a different internet. Could there be ways to fix this? There's been many ways they've tried, but I do have an idea. Even though there's been weekly races disconnect now, and FIA races disconnect now, and people even at the very top of the peak of like talent level, the ones actually competing for the tangible championships, like going to the actual places and stuff, like in the top 24 superstars events and all of that, they've been disconnected, and then at the very bottom have been disconnected from those races. But you know what? I would say the disconnection rate for those is maybe in the single digits of percent, even with Type 3 internet. Here, I have Type 3 internet, and there's a whopping 3 that I can connect to total, and that's even saying I do connect to them. I might not. I don't really feel like testing it out right now because I'm live streaming, and then that's even more internet being used, and I don't want this to go down trying to test something else, but I think you all get the point. It's just a downward spiral if you try to do one thing and it's terrible, so you attempt to do the next, and then that's now broken in the update that tried to fix the previous thing. I don't know if you can actually port, or not you as like us, PD, can actually port whatever servers they use for weekly races and FI races to what they use for open lobby, because it seems like no, they're not perfect, but weekly race slash FI race connections seem to be better than open lobby connections. I don't know if they could like port that over. And in the reverse, they could, instead of having the standing starts not work in the online lobbies, what does work in the FIA/weekly races, they could add that algorithm to online lobbies and that would work too. They could benefit from each other's existence instead of making each existence worse. I say can because again, I don't know why if that's actually possible. But again, that kind of ends to the PD logic. It's really only PD that can decide what's possible or not, and it's their logic that decides all this, whether it be algorithm logic like zeros and ones, or literal just people thinking of what should and shouldn't be added logic. Whatever it may be, this is still PD logic in the end, because as of now, nothing's really working as it should be in an online only game like I sold at the very beginning. Yes, I ended up connecting to it, but at the point in which I couldn't connect to it, I could literally do nothing. And now at this point, it may as well be that I'm doing nothing because there's nothing worth doing. As of now, GT Sport is borderline unplayable. There's still the really good livery editor. That's the best I've used in any game. I've never played any Forza games though, so I ain't going there. And there's still the graphics, which are the best of any console game I've ever played as well. And by default, me playing a PC game because my computer's like literally 8 years old now. But what I'm saying is there are strengths of GT Sport that they haven't changed that don't need change. But the stuff that hasn't been changed at all that needs to be, or the stuff that's been changed so many times that's ultimately been worse, those far outweigh the strengths right now. So, my next video, it may honestly be a boycott video. I don't know, I haven't fully decided yet because that's a big thing to like decide in doing. If I do a boycott video, it ain't gonna be the full game of GT Sport, it's probably just gonna be the online racing bit. Meaning I'll still use the livery editor and the scapes and the offline grindy bits. But even the offline grindy bit is kind of annoying too, because in theory the online stuff should give more money than the offline stuff in an online oriented game. But as of now, the best way to grind are two offline events, one of which you need basically a $20 million car, the max amount of money you can get for a car, to do, but I also mentioned that in a previous video as well, that actually had its own separate PD logic. So I ain't gonna go into that one too much. If y'all want to hear about that one, that has its own PD logic video. But for now, I'm just gonna end this one on... I don't even really know how to end this. This is probably the least worthy yeehaw of a thing that I've had in a while, and I may even do an even more negative video in the future. I'll attempt to give solutions to the negativity more in the future instead of just saying port over some features of one type to the other type and see if it works, because I have no idea if that would work. I tried to think up more logical solutions, pun intended, in the other video and actually try to make it more of a informational video than a rant video, but also just more pointing out the negatives that need to be fixed, because there are a lot of positives I'm mentioning here. But the negatives definitely need to be fixed to even benefit from the positives, because there's not that much point coming back at all for the few positives when there are so many negatives right now. So I'll just leave it at that. The least worthy yeehaw thing I've had in a long time with this game, and there's been a lot of that in the last few months. I guess now we're just waiting for the new FIA stuff and the new updates, supposedly that we may get in September, maybe or maybe not, we'll see. I may do videos on those if they're good, but we'll see. So far, the monthly updates have been one of the few consistent good things about the game, and that should be happening soon. What will come out first? A video of the new update that hasn't even been confirmed yet? Or a complete boycott of the game? We'll just have to see, but the next video could be positive or negative, and I don't know what it'll be, and that's kind of sad to say right now. So I'll end on that, kind of a cliffhanger that I don't even know the results to yet. That's pretty sad, ain't it, folks? Pretty sad.